Greetings and salutations, my friends. Welcome to my Tottenham guide for Football Manager 2019. It's time to break with tradition with Tottenham and actually win something, I think. So we're going to go through the team and the squad and the board and what they expect us to achieve and see if it is actually achievable and all that good stuff. The first thing I want to check is actually the stadium. So we've got a plan to move, due to move back into the Tottenham. Okay, I'm assuming the new Tottenham Stadium on the 17th of Christmas. 17th of Christmas. That's a good start to the video. I'm not gonna edit it out. It's fine. Works well. So we're moving into the new stadium on the 17th of Christmas. But at the moment we're at 90,000 seat at Wembley. I think we'll do all right. I'm going to assume the board expect us to achieve top four. They do, which is a lot harder nowadays with so many good teams. Final of the FA Cup. Interesting. Don't care about the League Cup. We do have the Champions League quarterfinals. Money. Considering they didn't buy anybody, you'd hope that the transfer budget would be a bit higher, but it's not. We've got 180 grand to spend on wages and 28 million to spend on players. But that's only really one player, isn't it, to be honest? Let's have a quick look at the staff. It needs work, but we are lacking a number of staff. So I think just getting a few more scouts and a few more coaches should improve that. We need another goalkeeper coach, etc., etc. Needs a bit of work, but that's not too bad. On the team report, better depth at centre-back, depth in defensive midfield, depth outside the first team. So all the depth. So let's have a look at the team. Once we go through, we're going to have a brief look at the first team, and then we're going to have a sort of quick look at the under-23s, under-18s, see if there's any wonder kids, and then go through tactics. So in goal, we've got the drunkard that is Hugo Lloris. Obviously exceptional World Cup winning goalkeeper. He is 31 now, so that's something to keep an eye on. But we do have a decent backup on Michel Vorm. It could be one of the cases, if we had the money, where I'd look, because he is 31, to get rid of Vorm and buy a 18, 19, 20-year-old kid that's eventually going to be the replacement of Lloris. But at the moment, with our money issues, I don't think we worry about that too much. So, at centre-backs, we've got some great centre-backs, just not very many of them. We've got Toby Alderweireld, who's wanted by Man United, probably. Oh, Real Madrid. Just Real Madrid. Could we cash? He's 29. He's never gonna be worth as much as he is now. It's tempting, isn't it? If you could get like 70 million for him, maybe, or something like that, that might be tempting. But obviously, he's an exceptional centre-back. Next up, we have Jan Vertonghen. Again, 31 years old. There's definitely rebuilding that needs to be made. He can play left-back as well pretty comfortably, but obviously a very solid centre-back. We've got the young guy, Davison Sanchez, who's very solid as well, which is good because we needed a youngster. That's because the other two are going to be on their way out. And then other than that, we've got Eric Dyer, who's pretty versatile and can play centre-back pretty comfortably. Does he have any weaknesses as a centre-back? His jump reach is okay. Yeah, I think he can play centre-back, but that's definitely an area we need to look to improve. He can play pretty much anywhere down the centre, to be honest. At full-backs, we've got Kieran Trippier and Serge Aurier as our right-backs. Really good player. I really rate Kieran Trippier. He's one of the sort of... I remember some ridiculous stat at he was at Burnley, wasn't he? I'm not having a brain fart. So whether the amount of assists he got or something one year, or the amount of chances created was ridiculous. Solid player. And we got Serge Aurier as our backup. Quite happy with that. Who's he wanted by? Fuck off. Bayern Munich. All right. If you need the money, that's the sort of position where we could go, actually, we could just sell him for 30 million to Bayern Munich and buy a equally good, cheaper right back up to Kieran Trippier. At left back, we've got Danny Rose and Ben Davis. I don't know I know Danny Rose in real life has had some injuries. I don't know if that is translated into the game, but he's a solid left back, but got Ben Davis. These two are very similar. I'd probably let them battle it out to see who gets that number one spot, or just keep them rotating. I think just generally in Football Manager 2019, rotating the squad is just so much more important. Much like real life, you see it more and more. With the modern demands of the physical game, etc. Then in central midfield, we've got Moussa Dembele, absolute amazing player, but he's on the turn. He's like a 3-week-old banana. He's starting to go a bit black. That's not a racist thing. I'm talking about bananas. I shouldn't have just gone with it, should I? No, but he's an absolute beast of a player. I think I'd definitely look to keeping him for another season or two. Then we've got Victor Wanyama. He's actually injured for 2 months. Harry Winks is out for 2 months as well. But Victor Wanyama is a solid player. Are they rating Wanyama better? My scouts or my assistant thinks that Wanyama's better than Dembele. Well, I'd argue that's the case, but they're both beasts. They're very sort of similar players. Then we've got Harry Winks, is a good youngster. He's had his injury problems as well, but he's a good playmaker. I probably wouldn't be first choice this season. This guy, I have no idea why the fuck he's still in Tottenham. I watched him the other night. He just runs around a lot. He is transfer listed in the game, which is, unsurprising. He is wanted, so you probably will be able to get rid of him. Oh, fucking loans. But you might be able to get, let's say, 15 million for him. So that's free money. I'm definitely getting rid of him, just out of principle. Lucas Moura, who's really coming good in real life. Decent winger. I would say I would maybe class him more of an inside forward, but you could play him up top as well. He's definitely going to stay in the team. Then we've got Christian Eriksen, the full-on number 10. He's got some amazing attributes. He's also a really good set-piece taker. He can run all day. What's his long shots? Like 16 long shots. His passing is 17, 18 teamwork. Vision's good. Absolutely superb player, as we all know. He's just coming into his prime as well. He's not even old. Then we've got Dele Alli. Amazing player again. Not the quickest, so definitely not winger material. Inside forward is probably his best position, or up top, to be quite frank. Like I said, lacking the pace a little bit, but really good finishing composure. Decent first touch. Then we got Son Heung-min, who's going to be I suppose he would be a winger in real life. Would you class him as a winger? I'd class him as a Ramduta, just, because it sounds like I know what I'm talking about. But, very good player. And then we've got Eric Lamella, who I quite rate him in real life. He's a bit angry. I'd probably put up his aggression a little bit. Dwells on ball, dives into tackles, avoids using. He dwells on the ball and then runs with the ball. So he dwells whilst running. Okay, we'll go with that. He's 20 million quid, isn't it? He's all right, but his physicals aren't very good at all. Then we've got Harry Caine. You might have heard of him. Decent striker. And then Llorente is a big sort of lumpy target man. League Cup, Champions League, when you don't give a shit, when you're already knocked out. Qualified. That sort of player. So we'll have a quick look at the under-23s just to make sure there's no super-duper wonder kids. We've got Cameron Carter-Vickers, who's a superb centre-back of the future. I think he could do a job for us next season when he comes back. Carl Walker-Peters. I won't go through them all. You can sort of have a look for yourself. But relatively small under-23s, but there's a bit of money to be named. Like Vincent Janssen, who, although he's injured for 6 months, he's worth 14 million. When he comes back, we can fuck him off in the January transfer window, make a bit of extra cash. In the under-18s, there's not much there. I'm going to skip over him because his name's Skip. Made myself cough. So, what are we going to do with this team? Where are we going to play? How many players are we going to do? What tactic are we going to do? Where are we going to strengthen? Right. It's always the fun bit for me. It's like fantasy managing. It's like, all right, we've got 28 million. We're going to get 15 million for Sissoko. We're good for... So we don't need fullbacks. I'm comfortable with the fullbacks. If we need cash, like I said earlier, we could go for Sergio Aurier sale, bring someone cheaper in to replace. I think I'm going to look for a young centre-back. I think that's really important. We've got 2 ageing centre-backs here. I'm not going to sell him to Real Madrid. Maybe in January if we're desperate. But I think I'll bring in like a 19, 20-year-old wonder kid that can eventually become the replacement for these two, along with Davinson Sanchez. And then we've built for the future. Again, I might bring in a wonder kid goalkeeper, but that's not as important. We've got 2 really good munchers. And then we've got a bunch of players that all kind of don't want to play central midfield. They all want to play attacking, much more attacking. Let's have a look at a tactic. Like I always say, I'm not doing roles or a proper full-on tactic. I'm just giving a rough idea of the shape. Let me have a think about this one because I don't want to just jump into it. Do we want something like... I don't know why I was thinking of this. I think that might be a little bit optimistic. I really don't want to pick this shape. I always go back to it. It's like my go-to. And it suits the team. obviously the variation is this. Winnable games where you're going more positive is that. I think I've got to go with it because I'm sticking Eriksen in here. We've got plenty of outside players. We've got Lucas Moura. We've got Son Heung-min. We've got a bunch of players that can play out wide there. Not necessarily inside forwards, like I say, just ignore the roles. Obviously, Harry Caine up top. Yeah. And I probably would be tempted, because we've got quite attacking fullbacks, to go maybe an inside forward tactic because they can bomb on. But then you need to be careful when you're doing those really attacking wing-backs. These two do get very isolated. So either something like this, where you're playing Eriksen here, or I don't mind that. Because that's the go-between, obviously. That's in the middle bit. I might go for this. Because we've got one of the sort of lads, one of the big fellas, the Dembeles or the Wanyamas as our muncher. I think we're missing. I think we lose too much of Eriksen. I think he needs to play in this number 10 spot at least, or even outside as a wide playmaker. That's definitely something I might look into doing. So that is a potential, but I don't think we can go too far away from that, boys. I'm sorry for picking a relatively standard tactic, but I think with those players that we've got, Dele Alli as well, we can play him on the outside as an inside forward. Eriksen's got to be the number 10 at least. We can play him out there, but we've got other players that can do that job, and I think bringing him too far back just feels a little bit wasteful. I think that he's so much better going forward. I don't think there's any other obvious sales we can make. Nothing that's jumping out. I just think we need to fix our defence. A bit more depth in defence and maybe look one eye on the future in the goalkeeper department. You could potentially get another striker, but we've got Harry Caine. If you want to play two up top, then we're looking for another striker. We've got a bunch of players that can play as strikers, but aren't really naturals at it. Like I say, Dele Alli is easily a decent striker. He's lacking a little bit of the pace, but something like a deep line forward. We could if we want to be brazen. No, because I want... Oh, it's a tricky one. This is the most confused I've been with the formation. I'm going to end the video. I'm going to have to play about it. This is always the bit, anyway, where I tell you in the comments, if you are managing Tottenham or have done in the past, or you're a Tottenham fan, is leave all your tips and comments and help formations, transfers in the comments below. Help each other out so you can get a better start to this version. Remember, we've got to get top 4, and that's always going to be tricky if you're not Man City. Because there's so many good teams nowadays. So it's definitely going to be a challenge, and we don't have the most amount of money. I'm hoping with the move to the big stadium, we will get a crap ton in the next couple of years. But there we go, my friends. Thank you very much for watching. If you are new to the channel, please do think of subscribing, like the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.